Blue Beetle is a masterpiece. Well, when compared to the other DC movies.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
But the real question is it strong enough to stand up to its superhero competitors? Now, my opinion of DC movies is more or less the same as most people's in that I think the Zack Snyderverse really fumbled, and it's because they forced him to, try and play catch up of Marvel, and they rushed everything and tried to smash all these stories together, and they really just didn't handle it with any love or care at all. It was essentially just a product that needed to come out as fast as possible, and it really shot themselves in the foot there. It's a shame because the source material they're working with is great. They have a huge pool, a wide history, and just a huge sandbox to play in when it comes to the DC universe. And Blue Beetle is just one of the many legacy characters they have to choose from. And DC, at least in the films, tends to work best whenever it's something completely detached from anything else and it's just doing its own thing. The Christopher Nolan Batman movies, Joker, even like The Suicide Squad, while yes, part of the DC universe, still felt kind of like its own thing. Now, when it comes to my personal experience with Blue Beetle, most of what I know about him came from Young Justice. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I remember really enjoying it, and I believe he was in one of the Teen Titans movies as well, and of course the, Injustice video games, etc. So I know a very casual amount about the Blue Beetle character. But what's notable about the character, and by extension this movie, is he's one of the few mainstream Mexican superheroes. There really aren't a whole lot in the DC and Marvel universe, at least not that are really put in the forefront. And so this movie has been getting a lot of buzz for its representation. But I can't help but feel like y'all are missing the GOAT, Spy Kids. Hello? You can't forget my boy and my girl, Junie and Carmen Cortez. Those movies were the shit when I was 7.
You think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
But we're not here to talk about the masterpiece trilogy of Spy Kids. We're here to talk about Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle follows a young first-generation Mexican-American named Jaime Reyes. He returns home to the fictional city of Palmera City, Texas, after graduating from Gotham University. Unfortunately, his celebration is cut short when he learns his family is losing their home. In his effort to pay off his family's debt, he finds himself tangled up in an evil military-industrial plot, where the Cord Corporation is trying to replicate the powers of a mysterious alien weapon to manufacture an army of super-powered suits. As fate would have it, Jaime attains the alien tech, bonding with the device to become the Blue Beetle. He must become a superhero not only to stop the evil corporation, but to also save his family. I just want to reiterate that I've never read a Blue Beetle comic, and all of my knowledge about Blue Beetle does come from the cartoons. And from what I remember, this movie stays pretty faithful to what the character's about. And there's still a little bit of confusion whether or not this movie is part of the pre-Flash movie or post-Flash James Gunn universe. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be retconned into the James Gunn universe, even if it was supposed to be for stuff before, because I don't think they want anyone to think, hey, go see this movie that's not contributing to our larger world. I really don't think that helps their marketing at all, but who knows? I'm not even gonna lie, I was thrown off by the setting at first, and I felt so geographically ignorant because I was like, Palmera City, I was like, where is that? I'm like, this looks like Mexico City or hell, even looks like a little bit of Rio and Neo Tokyo had a baby or something. I was like, what is this place? I'm like, everyone's speaking English, but it seems way more Latin America influenced. Eventually I caught on and realized, oh wait, this is a fictional DC city. And I don't feel that bad because I learned after the fact that technically it was written specifically for this movie. It wasn't a pre-established DC city like Metropolis or Gotham. So I was like, okay, I'm not that dumb. And I was even more surprised to find out it's supposed to take place in Texas and it's supposed to be on the coast. So I'm like, I guess Galveston got a big glow up or something. The original comics, however, it does take place in El Paso. Why they didn't just do that, I don't know, because the script said so. This movie, at its best, is very charming, but at its worst, is incredibly derivative. Jaime Reyes is played by Xolo Maridueña, who a lot of people know from Cobra Kai. He's your stereotypical, wholesome, friendly protagonist, and I hate to say it, but I actually thought he wasn't very interesting. While the story gives him plenty of motivation, he's not really given much to say or do or perform that really makes him stand out from other superheroes. He's essentially a bootleg version of like Peter Parker with the goofy kid routine, and to be honest, it gets old incredibly fast. It was kind of giving me flashbacks to Shia LaBeouf in Transformers 1, but just slightly more wholesome and slightly less of an asshole. Whenever he first gets the suit and it starts to be put on him, it's this super like horrific, crazy, like Cronenberg-like sequence. It's very, very grotesque and frightening, and you know, you really feel the fear in his eyes. It's really awesome. But, you know, they have this suit up sequence that's very reminiscent of Iron Man, where he's learning to fly for the first time, and the whole time he's just like, whoa, 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 hey, whoa, 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 whoa. And, you know, at first it's fine. It makes sense. You know, it's kind of funny. We're like, haha, you know, he doesn't know how to use the suit or whatever. But then the next hour goes by, and he's still going, oh, whoa, whoa, wait, whoa, 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 oh, whoa, whoa, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, oh, no, this isn't stopping. On paper, he's fine, and I don't think it's the actor's fault. It's just the material isn't very strong, and it's certainly not anything we haven't seen before from a main protagonist like this. He has that main protagonist syndrome that, you know, a lot of characters have, where they're a little bland and you're supposed to kind of just be able to put yourself in their shoes, which again is fine. But I was hoping he would be just a little bit more charismatic. I mean, the guy is super handsome. All right, he's a good-looking guy. And again, I wouldn't say he's unlikable. He just felt very bland. And when the final battle comes around, you know, you were hoping this character would be a little bit more confident. And I guess he is, but he's still doing the whoa, wow, whoa, wow. And it's just like, I was like, let's wrap it up. I'm so done with this kid. I can't. But funny enough, I actually found his family far more interesting, and he was honestly elevated whenever they were around. I think Jaime is a character that works best in an ensemble or a larger group, so I'll be very curious to see how he would be in a Justice League or Teen Titans type movie. I think he has more to offer, it's just we don't see it here. But I think the even bigger crime is just how boring and bland and milquetoast his love interest is, Jenny Cord. Man, I mean, I understand that they want to have a romance subplot because all these movies have romance subplots, but God, there was zero charisma between the two of them. Again, both very attractive people, but I didn't feel the connection. It just felt so forced. There's this really awkward sequence where she pours her heart out to him, and he just stares at her like with this, you know, just caveman, like mouth breathing, you know, face, and then and then she's like, oh my God, it's just so nice for someone to listen. I'm like, he's doing the bare minimum. Holy shit. Like, the fact that she's supposed to like fall in love with him by the end of the movie, it just did not work. And anytime those scenes were going on, and anytime there's any kind of like romantic setup, I was just like, God, I hate this. It's so boring, and it just feels very ingenuine. Her character is somewhat important to the plot in regards to her relation to some of the other characters and how she gets Jaime to certain places, but honestly, you could have taken her out of the movie and put someone else in that place. It would not change a single thing. So I think that was just really disappointing. But we're not even to the worst as far as characters are concerned. The only thing worse than the two of them is the villain in this movie. Oh man, the villain in this movie was just, I don't know how much more cookie cutter you could really get. Now, I will say I was pleasantly surprised at first when I saw Susan Sarandon, because she's one of the first characters that pops up in the movie. And I was like, damn, Susan! Like, low-key, you know, I'm just going to out myself right now. For, you know, an older lady, I think Susan's got it going on, all right? She's in a lot of great movies. I'm just going to leave it at that. But, you know, so when I saw Susan, I was like, oh, hey, I didn't know she was in this. Awesome. Let's see what she does. She doesn't do jack shit. Talk about phoning it in, and I can't really blame her because, again, not really given much to do that we haven't seen before. She's just your stereotypical evil corporate, you know, industry villain. She has, you know, the selfish, mean-spirited, you know, monologue. She has the henchmen she orders around. You know, it just, holy shit, I could not give two fucks what was going on with her. And it hurt to have, this very generic main character who's screaming all the time, a love interest who's a cardboard cutout, and a villain who just I could not be bothered to really care about. However, her henchman was actually a slightly more interesting character. Even though he's still kind of a generic henchman, they actually give him this very interesting backstory that they allude to towards the end, but unfortunately, it was kind of too little too late. The henchman's name is Carpax, and he's played by Raul Trujillo. And every time he gets in a battle with Blue Beetle, it's your, very basic by the numbers, like, come here, like, I'm gonna kill you, blah, 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 with last minute saves and, CGI battles that essentially just look like a video game cutscene. And anytime they started getting in a fight, because there's no personal connection between the two of them or really anything going on, I would start to check out. And they fight maybe 2-3 times in the movie, and each time I was just like, let's just get this over with. And I hate that I feel that way. And the effects aren't god awful, but it's just not really impressive when you're constantly surrounded by 3D animations. You're seeing your video games and your anime and your live action movies, like blockbusters like this. Eventually, you kind of feel like you've seen it all, and again, everything in this movie was competent. It was fine. I can't outright say these things were bad, but I just couldn't help but feel like it was a broken record. The movie doesn't really have much style. I mean, the music was great, I'll say that. I really like the synth score, and there's a little bit of a Mexican influence as well. So I like the music. But for the most part, the movie lacks any style or voice. It feels exactly the same as MCU movies. It's just, very flat lighting. Anytime there's a fight scene, it basically switches to a video game cutscene, and it just, for a lot of it, I kept finding myself checking out. So it's a shame that when we get Carpax's backstory and we have this flashback sequence, I honestly was like, wow, this could be captivating. I was like, this is interesting. Now this is some conflict I want to see more of. I honestly would have preferred if a chunk of the movie was just about him. Cut out Susan Sarandon, cut out the love interest, make it about him and his motivation, his backstory, and go into that. But again, they just do this cheesy Naruto flashback with the villain, like, oh, my sad backstory. And then they're like, all right, we're done. And I was like, okay, all right, I guess. Now, I'm happy to say that the cultural elements in this feel very genuine. It doesn't feel exploitative. It doesn't feel just like window dressing. It really feels like that they cared and that they knew what they were doing. That obviously is going to resonate with Mexican people far more than it does with me. But I felt like it definitely added to the movie and set it apart from other things that have come out recently. There's a consistent theme of family woven throughout, and that's really the best part of the movie. It's where all my praise really is going to go. The family not only acts as comedic relief, but they really bring a lot of drama and a lot of heart, and no one in the family I thought was too annoying or too silly. The humor worked. They were able to bring the emotion when it's needed. They were able to bring the laughs when it was needed, and really, anytime Jaime was interacting with his family, or we were just seeing what was going on with them, it was a lot more enjoyable. When trouble ever starts to brew and when shit hits the fan, you actually feel really bad for them, and you don't want to see him get hurt. You want to see him get out of there. So again, I think Jaime is strongest when he's with his family, which I guess, oh my God, I'm literally saying the family is key or whatever, but it's true. And in this movie, that really is what it's all about. And while yes, family is not anything new when it comes to themes in these kind of movies, but it's done particularly well here. And George Lopez is someone who, when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, uh-oh, is he going to be like the annoying, wacky side character that, comic relief that just doesn't shut up the whole time? But nah, I should have trusted him. He's actually really funny. He clearly knew how to come at it with nuance, and he was probably one of my favorite characters. And we need to talk about the GOAT, Abuela Reyes. Damn, we need a movie just about her. I'm not gonna go into why, but she's got it going on. She fucking slam dunks on some people in this movie, and she was amazing. So I don't know about y'all, but I think we need the petition for a Abuela Reyes prequel. So it's probably a safe bet that this movie is a pretty decent representation of the source material, and overall it's competently made, but personally, I found myself being very bored and frustrated with it most of the time, and I did go into it with, I think tempered expectations. I was kind of I went in with an open mind. I wasn't really expecting it to be one thing or the other. I don't have any personal bias against DC or anything like that. But this really just felt like every mid-tier blockbuster you've seen over the past 15 years. There's all these little pieces that I recognize from all these different things. And just as a short list as to what you'll find in this movie. The last minute save. Character says, "Hold on," as he drives a vehicle into a bad guy.
Are you sure you know how to fly this thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Whoa! Side character is suddenly a tech whiz and is able to hack security systems. The tragic Naruto villain flashback. Damsel in distress. Suit up sequence, then followed by a character stumbling around not knowing what they're doing. Hero talks to a power suit AI interface. Ironic pop music inserted into an action scene for comedic effect. A goodbye sequence in the afterlife. Super Saiyan power up. Family. The no killing rule. Which I have a bone to pick with that. Blue Beetle might have a no killing rule, but shit, his family certainly doesn't. The kill count for Grandma alone, holy shit, it completely stomps any of the Justice League. This dude gets impaled by a crab arm and the whole family is just like, ew, and I'm like, bro, this guy's chest cavity just exploded on the ground, and the uncle is like, whoops, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, nah, Blue Beetle can't have this, oh, no killing. It's like, bro, it's too late. It's way too late for that. And this is gonna be a very quick spoiler, but I'm gonna point out some parallels here, and I can't take credit for this. I'm stealing this just to illustrate my point. Hey, could y'all remind me of that one superhero movie? Oh, you know the one. The one about a guy who's down on his luck in a dead-end job who needs to make money for his family, but then gets a bug-themed robot suit and falls in love with the daughter of the man who had the suit originally. Also has a Latino tech whiz sidekick, and has to battle an evil version of his suit at the end. Oh. Whoops. And after watching the last Guardians movie, the D&D movie, Across the Spider-Verse, hell, even Puss in Boots, I just feel like the threshold for what makes a great blockbuster and the comic book fantasy realm has just gotten a lot higher and just been really spoiled for choice when it comes to great movies. I want to give this movie way more credit for having a likable cast of characters in regards to the family, but unfortunately, I don't feel like they were strong enough to justify the other 50% of crap. I understand why this movie has a lot of cultural appeal, and I do think representation is important, especially for kids, but I honestly think y'all deserve better. And I can't help but feel like a lot of the praise for this movie is just reactionary, because everything that came before it was more or less complete dog shit. And just because those movies were absolute crap doesn't make this great, awesome movie. It's fine. I think it's fine. And I don't want to take away from anyone's enjoyment. I mean, at the end of the day, I am a jaded old head. and it could just be, it's not you, it's me. You know what I mean? It might be that kind of situation where I might have just outgrown these kinds of movies, and that's okay. I mean, I'm sure when I was 8, I would have been like, I love the part where he makes a Final Fantasy sword. That was awesome. But, I just think this movie came out 15 years too late, and it just didn't do it for me. Doesn't break the mold or have any real ambition of its own. It's just the same well-oiled machine with a slightly new coat of paint. Originally, this movie was actually supposed to go straight to HBO Max, but then it got a theatrical release, which I'm happy. Even though I didn't personally enjoy it, I think this would be a great movie to take a family to. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone, and I love the theater experience. I want to support movies, so I'm still glad to go see a movie, even if it's not something I loved. I think this movie is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. Not everyone's, again, going to have the same reaction that I did, so don't let me be a party pooper. All that being said, I think I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Originally, I was leaning more towards a 5, but I think that's a little too harsh, because again, I did have some fun with it. There were things I liked about it. I think it was just enough to push it over the mid rating, because 5, again, is middle. It's mid. It's, just okay. There's enough heart here underneath for me to be curious about what they'll do with it in the future. Now that they've laid down this foundation and they've properly introduced all the characters and give us a little time to get to know them, I actually am curious to see what else they can do with it. I think that, you can only go up from here, hopefully. I really think that Blue Beetle might just be one of those characters that works best in an ensemble. I picturing him, interacting with Superman or Batman or Robin or Starfire is very exciting because, again, I like the character in the show. I'm just not sure if the material here was strong enough on its own. But you know what? We've seen significantly worse when it comes to DC. So yeah, I guess we really should be happy. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't piss anyone off or hurt anyone's feelings. Again, if you like this movie, awesome. It's meant to be enjoyed, and I think that, again, there is a lot to love here. So please, if you want to see more, subscribe, hit the like. I've never said that before, but I'm finally saying it. My channel's finally getting a little bit of traction. I'm happy to see it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be back as soon as possible with another review.